Hey guys, my name's Branden. I'm the owner of Seal Pro Painting and the host of the Off the Ladder podcast. Today's guest is Roger Carroll. He is located in Eastern North Carolina. Welcome to the podcast, Roger.
Thank you, sir.
So if you could, really quick for our audience, could you just give them a brief introduction? Who you are, your business, how long you've been around, how many employees you've got, what's your operation look like there in North Carolina?
I'm the owner of Southern Touch Painting and Maintenance. We're located in Jacksonville, North Carolina. We have an office in Emerald, North Carolina, one in Surf City, North Carolina, and we work the areas from Wilmington, North Carolina, up to Beaufort, North Carolina. We also cover Camp Lejune Marine Corps Base. Our company does revenue anywhere between 14 and 18 million a year. The commercial work, we do residential work, we paint, do residential. Just don't have one avenue that we zero in on. I throw out a big net. Get asked all the time, why do I do that? I think that helps make you recession proof.
Yeah.
The commercial we do residential, cover just about anything. Actually, my company still goes and paints bathrooms for ladies who need bathrooms repainted.
Nice.
They're changed from when we started. We just grew, but we've never, that's what our foundation was and where our company started.
Now tell us a little bit about how you did get started. It sounds like you've got a pretty great operation going there. How many years have you been in business? What got you into the painting industry, and what did that growth look like? Because that's a pretty phenomenal achievement to be doing that type of revenue, and to build what you've built is just, it's amazing. So for those who are listening who have those hopes of building a great business, where'd you get started, and what does that look like?
Graduated from college and come home. My father was a Baptist minister, and he wasn't full time. He was part time. And in the time that he wasn't full time, he painted. Small paint company here, located here in Jacksonville, but he would paint. So growing up, me and my two brothers, we ended up learning the painting industry. Coming from college, I was actually going to go to New York to be a stockbroker. I graduated from school, and my father had a heart attack. I had two brothers in school. One was at Campbell University, the other one was at Liberty University. And I ended up staying home and helping my brothers through school, worked my father's business for him for a couple of years. And I realized that what I wanted to do, and I started my own business. After a couple of years, my next brother graduated from college. He ended up coming to business with me for 15 years, and we started our business. So we've been in business about 31, 32 years. I have another brother who actually has a painting business. It's called Pro Finish Painting. He is located in Cary, North Carolina, and he does a ton of work. My brother who was in business with me, he hasn't been in business with me for the last 15, 16 years. He's located in Myrtle Beach and has a drywall company that is massive. Does all high rises, motels, airplane, hangars, you name it. He's into a little bit of everything. So all three of us boys are in construction. Two of us are in the paint business. One's located in Cary. I'm here, and my other brother's in Myrtle Beach, and he does drywall, metal studs, fire caulking, all new ceiling designs, musical ceilings and stuff like that. But very successful. Lives down there. My other brother, like I said, still travels the United States, as I did at one time. I used to travel, but I don't travel anymore. Right now, we employ 135 guys.
Okay, that's just you.
Yeah, and I sub no work. I don't have any subcontractors in my company at all.
That's phenomenal. Now, so you've been in business for 32 years. can you walk through like some of the milestones that you achieved over that 32 years? You know, getting there's a lot of people who are going to listen to this podcast who are small business owners who are maybe aiming to just get into that million range, or maybe they're trying to go from a million to 3 million. um, how many years did it take you to hit some of those milestones, to hit a million revenue, to go to 5, 10, 15 million?
But by the time I was, by the time I'd been in business 3 or 4 years, we were doing 4 to 5 million a year. When I was 27 years old, I had 75 guys working with me. By the time I was 27 years old.
That's phenomenal.
The From that, we just gradually grew our company, and we still actually grow. I mean, and one thing we do now is we look in the other areas to get into where the profit margin is larger and it doesn't take as many employees. I've actually had as many as 178 employees in the past, but we didn't actually do as much revenue. It just depends on what you're doing. We do a ton of work now over on Camp Lejune Marine Corps Base here, and on Jacksonville we do a lot at Cherry Point. So we're able to do more work with less guys, and that's how many men you work. The number one thing, it's your profit. Profit's everything. You try to do as much work as you can with as little people as possible, and profit's going to be higher.
Yeah.
That's where we stand. Over the last 5, 6 years, it's been insane. We just had our largest October ever. But if you break our company down, you'll have 60,000 a day. So, in paint. If you break our numbers down to what we do per week, into your numbers, that's the amount. That's the volume we do a day. Get up, we go, and have no downtime whatsoever. I mean, we're backlogged right now is unbelievable. We probably have 11 to 15 million on the books for 2004 already.
Wow. Yeah, that's phenomenal. What's your breakdown between, like, what percentage of your work is residential versus commercial, and then your maintenance? And um, let's start there, and then we'll kind of go into like how the maintenance works out.
Well, on our maintenance side, I got into that. Branden was when I decided to quit traveling, and I came home and said, "Hey, I'm just going to work here," because I traveled for years. You have to break my company down, and like over the last 12 years, I've been here. For the first 20, we traveled the United States. I did large box stores, you name it. We painted it, and then I made a decision I was home. When I did that, when you started getting into the residential repaints, when we started getting into stuff here locally, the problem we ran into, we were painting. Homeowners would call and say, "Okay, I know I got you scheduled for December the 4th, but you can't come." The wood repair hasn't been done, or it hasn't been pressure washed. And after that going on for about 3 months, I said, "Okay, this is what I'm doing. We're going to pressure wash, and we're going to do our own wood repair." And it went from that to now we run 5 to 7 trailers a day pressure washing. Pressure washing revenues 2.5 to 3 million a year. They run all year.
Mm-hmm.
And our own wood repair. So when you see maintenance with our job, with our title of our company, let's say I come out and give you an estimate tomorrow, and you need fascia replaced, or you need windows replaced, or you need boxing. We're capable. Now, we don't do it on all. Some homeowners, have already taken care of it, but we're set up to one-stop shop. We can come out and do your wood repair. We can pressure wash your home, and we can paint it. Well, homeowners like that because they're not dealing with 3 different people trying to get it done at 3 different times.
Yeah.
That's when you see it. And when I say we do some pressure washing, we do. We do it all in house. We have our own trucks. We pull trailers. We actually have 7 trailers. Right now we're running 5 trucks because we're getting towards the fall. But generally through the winter, we still run 5 trucks a week. In the summer, we run 7 trucks 7 days a week.
Mm-hmm. That's phenomenal. So now with we actually just started doing our own maintenance contract as well, to try and do what you're talking about. Just being able to, one, keep our customers longer. So instead of just doing one-off jobs and not being connected with them for a long time, we're doing service contracts to maintain those relationships, and then do those things that you're talking about. Now, what I'm curious about is that's got to take an incredible amount of leadership to run that kind of operation. Can you speak to the listeners of what leading that size of an organization takes, and just the mindset that you have to have?
To run that size of organization, first of all, it takes total commitment. First person it takes commitment from is the owner. Second person it takes commitment from is the owner's wife. I'll be as blunt as I can. You have to have a woman behind you who understands what it takes to run it, who understands the time and commitment to it. Without her and my support of my wife, it would be impossible to do. There's no way. Here between 3:15 and 3:30, alarm goes off about 2:55, 5 minutes to three. Starts with me, and then it goes to my wife. Then you have to surround yourself with people who have the same goals, who have the same commitment level. And the one thing I will say, Brandon, is, and so many people are doing the podcast, and the painting industry is really taking off and doing great. A lot of information is out there. The one thing I will say about the painting industry, just because you work, just because you may get up early, doesn't mean that it stresses you. It doesn't mean that painting controls your life. Doesn't mean that you are a prisoner to what you're doing. What it means is, in order to do what our goals are, in order to achieve what Southern Touch wants to do, it means that I'm committed to doing those times. So it doesn't mean that you're lazy if you sleep from 3:30 to 7. It just means you choose to get up. It doesn't mean you're lazy. But I use that same scenario on people who actually, because I hear that's the big thing in the paint industry is everybody's talking about trying to work less and da da da. Well, uh, just because you choose to get up early and your team decides to get up early, it doesn't mean that we're prisoners to what we're doing.
Mhm.
What it means is that to succeed in what we're doing, we just don't want the market. We want to dominate the market. We're very competitive. That's our goal, is to build this brand. That's been my. You have to be competitive, and our goal is to dominate the market in our area at a high profit. In order to do that, it takes commitment. Not just me, my wife, my office staff, my project managers. This morning, my first guys are around here at 4:30. Started arriving at 4:30 this morning to go to Wilmington, to go to Cherry Point. Those rides are about an hour and a half to their job site, so they want to be on site by 6:15. That's it. We don't have guys that lay down. We don't have guys who miss. Out here, they're not working. Uh, so that's the mindset. It's just a commitment level, and you have to surround yourself with people who believe in what you're doing. Several years in a row here in town, our company has been voted the #1 work culture. And that starts with me. It starts with our office. I mean, you can't see really in here, but our office is very nice. It's nice. And somebody says, well, why do you have such a nice paint office? Because the mentality with our employees and our guys starts here. It starts at your home base. I do things different, Brandon. Every employee in my company has to come to the office every morning. Better than that, every employee in this company has to walk up the stairs, come to this desk here, shake my hand, meet me face to face before they go to work. It means every employee. Now, that's from the whoever the labor is that's laying out the paper and putting on and taping and prepping windows, to the supervisor on a job at New Bern who has 25 guys on his crew. Every person comes here every day. So it starts at the office. You've got to have a vision. my father used to say, if you build a fire, they'll come warm their hands. And by doing that, it allows your lower tier people to feel a part of what you're doing and makes them want to get better. It makes them want to succeed. It makes them want to be a foreman. I do things different. I don't have a certain bonus plan. If you bring a job in at X amount of dollars, my bonus for my employees is set up with each foreman. Me and him. I bring them in, I show them where the job is, Branden, and I go from there. I don't have a certain, okay, if you bring this job in at X, we have something in place. That's not the way my company operates. We operate on, number one, you should be expected to go out and bring the job at a profit.
Mhm.
I see companies all the time who are rewarding guys who they're already making a good wage, and then you're giving them back X amount of dollars. Well, that's fine. But when they have jobs that don't come in on time, they're not giving you X amount of dollars. Or you have jobs that don't work out good for Southern Touch or miss painting, etc. So I run things different. I run mine with my foreman. Most important guy in the company are my foreman. And what I do, Branden, is I meet with them. I say, look,
Mhm.
buddy, this is where we are. Take care of me here, and this is what your bonus is. I don't have a system in place. A couple of reasons why. Number one, it may not be a job where you have 40% profit built in. It might be a job where you have 25. It just depends on the project. So I bring them in, I sit them down, and I say, okay, Timmy, this is where we are. Take care of me here, and this is what you do. But it's only with the project, with the superintendent. And the reason I do it like that is, if you take care of everybody the same and everybody on the crew is the same, why is the fourth level guy on that crew ever going to want to be the foreman if he's rewarded the same as the foreman? So I'm a fair company, and I give my guys incentives. They don't want to stay for a layer. They want to be the top dog, and that's the way everything's run here. We do things different. We have a wait list of people to come here. I have zero labor problems. Zero. When I say zero labor problem, Branden, none. I don't have any labor problem whatsoever in my company. A wait list. I can walk downstairs, and in the next 10 minutes, I can have painters here in the morning. We have no problem with labor. We have no turnover. We turn over less than 2% of our company here. But now, look at the number of people I have in my company.
Mhm.
I started 30-some years ago. 6 of the first 7 people work here. The only person that doesn't work here died of cancer. The rest of them are still here. 30% of my company has been here 15 years or longer. So we have no turnover in the company whatsoever.
Yeah, that's amazing, especially when you hear so often of people talking about, turnover problems. And um, you know, I saw something that really impressed me is I saw a post that you made recently. I forgive me, but I don't remember the gentleman's name. But you had posted where someone who had been with your company for a really long time had retired, and you were just speaking highly of him and thanking him for his service to your company. And then I think you just posted that he came back and he's working with you again, and that's phenomenal.
For 5 months. Worked for me for 31 years. He's his family. He's the first person here every day. I get here about 3:15, 3:30, and he's here at 3:45 for 31 every morning. Uh, and as Larry, he has been with me all these years. Does not have to work. His wife worked in labor and delivery at UVA. Worked for me those years, and he worked here for 2 weeks, and he would drive home for 7 days. Did that for 30 years. Uh, Lives in a gated community in a 4,000 square foot house with a guest house out back, swimming pool in the backyard. He has put his retirement away for 30 years, and she put hers away for 41, working at UVA and labor and delivery. Doesn't need to work. $110,000 black Cadillac Escalade. Brand's making new 2023. Drives it up every morning and parks it. Only works because of what we built, the camaraderie among the men, the relationship he has with me. my wife and my kids, and my daughter Shelby works here, the relationship he has with them. To tell you about that, Brandon, when he retired, he came by the house before he was driving back to Virginia, and he had a bag. He come in and he handed it to me, and he said, "The next vacation that you and your wife take, I want you to use this, boss." My guys call me boss. He said, "Boss, I want you to use this for you and your wife to enjoy yourselves." And I opened up the bag, Brandon. It was 10,000 in cash. He was retiring and leaving. He wanted to give me and my wife $10,000 to spend on our next vacation. Uh, that says a lot about how he felt about me and her, how he felt about the experience we had the last 31 years. So I wouldn't take it. But he made it 5 months, and he was here this morning. He does the same routine. He works here 14 days. He goes home for 7. I say home, it's a 6-hour drive. And he can continue to do it until he decides he wants to retire again. I talked to his wife, and she said, "Keep him working." He doesn't do good there. When you've been used to getting up at 3 o'clock every morning for 30 years, and then of course, you're now living with her, and she's retired, and you're getting up at 3, you don't change. He's up, he's running around the house, he's into this, he's into that. He's a creature of habit, and we've done it so long together. And the one thing with my guys that work for me, Brandon, my guys feel like they're a part that we built this thing together. And I continuously say we, not me. If you look at my Facebook post, I say investment are us. These guys, even though it's Southern Touch and it's Roger Carroll, my employees feel like that. We built this company together. So many of them, that's the great thing about non-turnover.
Mm-hmm.
They all feel like they were part of it. All those guys that were back here, 24, 25, 27, 28, 29, they're here. I mean, I have ladies here in the office that have been here 28, 29 years. And some of them, they're not that old. They came to work at 18. When you start talking about 25, 30 years, well, that sounds like, well, this guy must have a lot of old people. When you hire people at 17 and 18 years old, they've been here for 25 years, they're still only in their early 40s.
Yeah.
So a lot of these people who have been with me for 30 years, they're not even 50 years old.
Right.
And I've had a couple of chances to sell the company. Got a really good offer 2 years ago to sell it. When I weighed the people and what was going to happen with the people here and the people who have been so loyal to me, who helped me build this company, I could never envision that. So that loyalty goes both ways with owners, and sometimes so many owners forget that. Everybody's always saying, "Well, I want my employees to be loyal to me." Guess what? You've got to be loyal to them also. It's got to go both ways. And I feel like I've been able to do that. And my guys know I'm an open book with my guys. I don't hide nothing. I tell them when things are going great. I tell them when things are same thing on their projects. I let them know when they're going good, and I let them know when they're not. And they won't. They don't want you to go tell 10 people that work in the company. They want you to sit down there and say, "Look, Mike, something's going on here. We've got to turn this around." Don't wait till the project's 6 months in if it's a big. Wait till it's 6 days in. If you're managing right, you should never have a project that goes that south, because you should be on top of it to know that, hey, this is, get everybody together. Where we at? Because I only have 3 project managers in my company. I do all the estimating. I sell everything. I don't know.
Got it.
I am the seller. I'm the seller, the estimator, the bidder, everything. Another estimator in this company. Right here, this is my estimating room. My shelves, all the drawings are laying over there. But when you walk in this office, I have an assistant who has worked with me for a very long time, and she works for me. But everyone has looked at dollar wise. I'm the only person that puts a dollar figure. Now, when it comes to pressure washing and maintenance, my daughter does that. Now, I do have a guy who works, who, let's say you wanted a repaint on your house. What he does, he goes out and meets them, gives them a job folder, and he takes pictures. He will bring that back to me, and then I estimate the project. But as far as estimating, I do all the estimating in my company. Don't outsource anything, and we do a lot. I usually do that on Sunday mornings, and then during the week. That's one thing I do a lot of times in the mornings, is that. Another thing is get back to, like, I see everybody talking about on Facebook about guys are prisoners to their jobs or whatever. One of the reasons why I do have to come in early too is when you have this many people, Brandon, weather affects. Let's say you got all these men, you got 10 crews working outside, and then it rains all night. Well, you're not going to be able to work outside. So I have to come in early enough that I can position those guys to other projects, somewhere in here, priming, whatever we're doing, if you follow what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
I've got to be able to move them around. So that's another reason. Okay, and if you're moving 10 people around, you ain't got to. When you're moving out between 120 and 130 guys around, then you can't do that 5 minutes. You break it down and say they come here that morning and it takes me an extra 30 minutes because I'm not prepared. So you take 30 minutes on 120 men, this is 120, that's 60 hours. Take 60 hours at about $25 an hour and do that math. That's what it costs me to be unprepared for 30 minutes.
Mm.
Where I'm going now, about $1,800, $2,000 a morning, just because I'm not prepared. Because when they're all here, they're ready. They get here, their time slot starts. The minute they pull in this driveway or this office complex, their time starts. They check in, they're in. So it's on me then. So we like to have our guys gone within 6 minutes of arrival. We have 5 bays that you back up to. Every bay is numbered. They already know where their paint is before they come. They've already been tested by my shop foreman. So let's say you're working in Wilmington, you're picking up 30 buckets that's going with you. You already said, you already been sent, hey, Jose, your paint's in shop 5. He backs to shop 5. The roll-up door comes up. There's 2 shop guys ready to put it in his truck. All the crew comes and sees me, and they're gone. You like to do 6 to 8 minutes for each crew to be gone because they're getting paid.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as they pull up, they're paid.
Yeah, that's
So it takes organization. We have our roll-up doors. They know before they ever arrive which roll-up door their paint's in.
yeah. So I'm inspired by everything that you're saying, and I what I hear is how important culture is and how important your leadership is to be able to run an operation like this. And what I'd like for you to do is go a little bit deeper into what that leadership takes. Where do you get your motivation, your inspiration to lead? What kind of things I heard you mention, shaking the guy's hands, greeting everybody that works for you. What other things are you doing to build that culture where people are literally knocking on your door looking for a job and wanting to stay for so long?
Well, first of all, we let them know we care. I can tell you almost every man that works for me, wife's name, and most of the kids. Actually have 2 pressure washing guys. I have a pressure washing guy named Emerson who's been with me a long time. Every Friday when he gets off work, he brings his $3 here to see me. He has $1.18. He has one too. In between, he has that one that's 14. But he literally brings his 3 kids by to see me. Doing this since the other one was a kid. Uh, do things. I've got Tim Tebow coming here a week from Monday. Or the FCA. I'm bringing him in to meet all my employees, see them. To them, I don't know if you know who Tim Tebow is, but we're talking about Tim Tebow, former Heisman Trophy winner. He's a motivational speaker. He's heavily involved with FCA. He'll be here. Our company is going to the event. Our company is sponsoring the event. We are the title sponsor.
Mm-hmm.
Our touch painting is. So he'll be here. We'll have 1,400 to 2,000 people will be there. Stuff like that. I rent the entire bowling alley. Every night. Husband, wives, kids, all the food, bowling. That is a great hit. They love it because bowling is something that you can do from a very small age. You don't have babysitters. You can bring your young kids. They put the bunkers up. You have arcades. We rent the entire bowling alley. Employee recognition. We're big on straight up employees. Don't base how you move an employee up or what you pay them on longevity. You base them on what they're doing for your company. That's one thing I this guy's been with me 30 years, and this guy's been with me 5. The 30-year stuff, when it comes to that 30, remember this, that 30-year guy, I love the loyalty, but you've already paid him. You paid him all 30 years. You got guys who will come along who are producing or doing, who've got fresh blood. Don't be afraid to move those guys up and let them take over and do things. If you don't, you'll lose them. Now, I do have a rule in my company, Brandon, if you leave, you can never come back.
Mhm.
Everybody I just said, you leave, unless you move or you have sickness or death in your family. You leave Southern Touch, you can never come back to work here. Never's a long time. I've got guys who have offered to come back for $5 pay cuts, and I will not allow you leave me for another company in this town. You can never come back.
That's good.
Stone is big as it's one of the most written as you can possibly get. Understood by everybody in this company. That includes office staff also. Office staff, I have 10 ladies who work here. If you leave me to go to work in another office, you can never come back. Same thing as painters. If you leave to go to work for $1 more an hour for Jones's Paint, you can never come back to Southern Touch. They don't even try. They already know. That eliminates a lot. Now I hear painters all the time saying, I can't believe that rule, and it's fine. But I'm glad about the is I have no problem with labor, and I have zero turnover. Because when you're sitting here and you know that 52 weeks a year, you're going to get 65 to 80 hours a week from me. You're going to leave for $1 an hour for a guy who 6 months from now may not even be in business. It causes you to think.
Mm-hmm.
Your family's been taken care of for 15 years, or your family's been taken care of all year long. They're eating good. They're doing this, they're doing that. It puts it in the back. That's the thing. Painters aren't dumb. Painters are smart men. And I will say this, and maybe we get to that. One thing I do, if you look at my Facebook, and I'm always talking about, painters aren't drunks. Painters aren't alcoholics. Painters aren't life abusers. That's society. And, we like to put that on painters. My guys, got all these men on probation in my company. My men are good husbands. They're good fathers. They save their money. They have houses. They travel. They go on vacation. They great here in the community. They contribute to society. And 70% of my employees go to some type of service weekly. Not Hispanics have church on Friday night, Saturday, or Sunday, and it varies from there. But almost 70 Wilmers attend some type of service weekly. Weekly. So we start with good people. I've got good people, and I'll talk about Hispanics. Everybody thinks when they come here and work, there's 10 of them living in a house, sending their money back to wherever they're from. That's not my Hispanics. Mine have been with me for years, and they're living in houses. They've got kids who go to college. They're living in nice houses. They drive nice cars, and their kids are in school, and they're wonderful people. And same thing with my painters, though. I'm not going to get painters out of jail Friday night. All that. That's all you hear about. I read these forums, and I'm thinking, who are these guys? Because talking about drunks and drug addicts and all that. I don't have more so. Painters aren't no more so than what regular society is. If you follow what I'm trying to say, Brandon.
Yeah.
We have great people. They're great husbands. If you look at some of my Facebook posts, I said he did a great job. And he's a wonderful painter, but he's a better husband and father. And I'll say this: most of the time, if you have a painter who's a good husband and father, he's going to be a good employee.
Yeah.
Most of the time, if their home life's bad, Brandon, their work life's going to be bad.
Sure. Now, who's doing your hiring and onboarding? Is that you? Could you speak to what that process looks like? How you guys, attract and hire and onboard and train?
Every person's hired by me. Mm-hmm. And they fill out an application and they're interviewed by me. Every person. Yes, I don't care about last week. I don't care about last year, and I don't care who they work for. Mm-hmm. We'll start with a fresh slate. My training process is different than everybody else does. I take new employees and put them in my top 10 foreman. work with that top 10 foreman for 3 to 4 months. They move from there. Then they may move to another crew. I don't have time to have a training session downstairs for 2 hours a day for 3 weeks to get a guy up to par. If I'm paying a guy enough, foreman, I don't think there's anything better than on the job training, especially if they're my best and I put them in charge of my best jobs. Well, I would sure hope they could train a new employee. They put them on the crew, and it's understood they're training. Not optional. So that's another thing. That's part of the expectations I'm making the bucks they make. It's part of their job description. I've got 2 today on the base. They got their fast. They're not that skilled in painting. They were one of my best foremen today, and they'll work on his crew for the next 2 to 3 months, and then we'll disperse them out. This guy was my second employee in my company 31 years ago. He understands what is expected. If he don't know what's expected after 31 years, then I'm sure not going to be able to tell him in a 2-hour session down here at my shop. And we have a big facility. We have a 10,000 square foot area with a yard. We've got our own booms, but you can take them down there. You can show them how you want a wall roll, or you can show them what this and that. I think the best way is to put them out there with somebody who's done it for you for all these years, who knows. You get out the truck, he sees how it does, he sees how he sets up his crew, he sees how we before we do it. There's nothing like doing that right there. And that's 100% my training, Branden. I have nothing here at my shop. I'm too busy. I don't have time to get in and show a guy what a rolling amp is, or I don't have time to go out there and show him what latex and all is. Put him with a man. I'm already paying a guy.
Yeah.
I'm already paying a foreman. He's already getting paid. He's got a guy underneath him getting paid. I don't have time to train here. I mean, we put them out there. And that works for me. It doesn't work, but I can tell you this. I have no labor problems. I see all this stuff on Facebook, on all these painting forums, and but I have zero labor problems. Zero. And no turnover. 99.5% of my guys are at work every day. I have one man out today. He's in intensive care. He had a diabetes attack a week and a half ago. And he's a great guy, great family man. He's the only man of 100 and some people that's not at work today. They're here. They come to work. They like coming to work here. They like getting up and coming. But I do things different. I spoke at some conferences before, and my old school approach is different than theirs. I told you when I came on this podcast, this is only the second time my computer's ever been cut on. I don't have a computer. My daughter had to hook me up. I operate off my cell phone. But now I have women who work here in the office who are paid to be on the computer to do everything I need. I don't have time. You've reached out to me, and I followed you, and I told my daughter, so I'm going to take the time to do this with Branden. He's a good guy. I'll do anything to help other painters, or maybe someone will listen. The one thing I will tell you too, Branden, is there's no right or wrong way to do it. You as the owner have to pick out what works for you. And if you're a painter and you listen to this, make sure you follow that. There is no set way to make a living painting.
Right.
Be an easier way, and I would highly recommend that if it works for you. My way works for me. I go 90 miles an hour. So I'm never going to come in here and plug things into the computer for 2 hours. That's not me. That's not who I am. My daughter can't believe I'm sat here this long, probably. That's not who I am. But I got people that do that. While they're doing that, I'm out finding work. I've got people here. I'm contacting people. I don't produce a lot of our work that comes in by systems I have in place. And I'll give you an example, Branden. I said I don't have time to sit on a computer and plug things in. I love the way some of the guys do it, and they are leading the painting industry in great directions, and it works for them. For me, it doesn't. I'll give you a prime example. It's every Tuesday and Thursday. Every Tuesday and Thursday, I'll go A to Z on those days. I'll do half the alphabet. I touch base with everybody that I work for, construction companies, builders. I'll send them out a text, hey, this is Roger, just touching base, the week's going, what do you have coming up, what you do you need anything priced this week? I'm gonna be in the area tomorrow, I'm gonna be in the area. Then I take on Thursdays, which is tomorrow, and I'll do the back half of the alphabet. I do that every week. I didn't say every month. I do it
Mhm.
every week. Everybody says, why do you do that? Number one, it keeps Southern touch fresh in their mind. Let's say you got a contract with Branden you haven't worked for, and they haven't had anything in the last 2 months for Southern touch paint, but they've got a building coming out of the ground. As soon as the painter sees it, they're on it like vultures. Everybody riding by is pulling in. You got a guy that pulls in, and he says, you know what, I'll do this for extra, he's 50 cents cheaper. You know, if you're not touching base and keeping that relationship going with that person,
Mhm.
then eventually you're going to lose some work over stuff. So I
Yeah.
like to keep my brand is what I call it. We actually call our shirts, we call them uniforms, just like football players. These are our uniforms. We're going to our game, and that brand right there has to mean something to you, whether it's on the side of the truck, on your hat, whether it's on your coat, and we want to sell that brand. How you sell your brand is you number one, I call it out work. I don't care what nobody says either. To build a company, you got to work. Now, I see all this stuff on Facebook and podcasts, and like the build operation like mine, you got to work. You know, there's no other way. Do you want to work that much? That's up to you. I don't probably don't work no more than a lot of people. I just do it at different times and different days. Uh, it doesn't overwhelm me whatsoever. I just got back from Key West. I spent 4 days with my wife and friends. My youngest daughter got married over the weekend. I was out in the middle part of the state, was gone for 3 days. I still have to do stuff. Yesterday afternoon, I took the afternoon off and actually played golf with some of my friends. Just because you work and work hours doesn't mean that you don't have time. There's 24 hours a day for everybody.
Mhm.
So you pick and choose your own schedule. I pick mine and I do mine like I want to do. It works for my company.
Yeah.
Uh, and that's the way I run my company. My guys like to work. My guys want to get 55, 60 hours a week. Across the board. Uh, our guys on base like to get about 50. That's just the way they are. And their rule of thumb is if you're going to go to work, work. My guys don't want to work 8 hours a day. And,
Mhm.
you know, an hour away, you're buying the gas and you're paying them drive time. Uh, you want them to work more than 8 hours also. So, yeah, that's the way it works for us. Uh, got anything specific you want me to zero in on, Brandon?
Well, I'll say, like, I love what you said about you know, the whole inspiration for this podcast is to help those guys who want to get off the ladder, you know, and to be in a position where they're running their business to be able to experience the freedom that it provides, right? So you know, what I hear you saying is, like, when it's time to work, you put your head down and you push hard, and you know, there's no complaints. And you know, like me, I wake up at 4 in the morning as well. And um the you know, that's just what I choose to do. That's how I like to do my schedule. But I do work when I want to do it, and then I have the freedom, you know, if I want to travel or if I want to do other things, I have that ability. But I choose when I work. And so I think that's what you're saying there is, you know, it's not a less work. It's you choose when you do it. And when you do it, you're intentional and you work hard. Um,
And I do choose to be involved in my employees.
yeah.
Other people, they think it's crazy and they want to be as far apart of them as they can, and that's fine. I mean, I go to these paint conferences and I hear guys talk who haven't even seen their employees in 3 weeks. They just send them a text where to go, and oh, that's fine.
Mhm.
But that doesn't work for us. The best of the best just came out, and this was our sixth straight year of being voted the best work culture, number one company to work for, not number one paint company, number one company to work for. We have 250,000 square people surrounding this area. So you get some people in this area.
Mhm.
Number one company to work for, number one paint company. I was voted number one boss. You name it, number one customer service. That stuff doesn't happen by accident. That stuff happens because I have people who believe in what I'm doing. They believe in what Southern Touch is doing. When they go to these jobs or these houses, they're representing my company. my core value rules. You're going to be dressed. You're going to look appropriate. Your truck's going to be clean. Your uniform is going to be clean. You're not going to have your hat turned around backwards. You're going to have our shirts on. You're not walking in with a white beater. There's no music playing inside your homes at all. We have a rule. We do not even park in customers' driveways.
Yeah, I love that.
We don't even park. We park somewhere out the driveways out by the road. We don't want to pull in. We don't want to take a chance of anything happening on their driveway. But you won't believe how many people they take it as respect for their home.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when we all go up and work at their home, I mean, we take the brown paper we put out on their walkway outside their house. We wear sleeves on our shoes, or we take our shoes off. That's my estimator and me, and my guy who goes to take my picture, Jeff. When he goes to take the pictures, he takes his shoes off at the door.
Mm-hmm.
And he just goes to take pictures at homes or repaints, and he comes and he does an outstanding job, and then I price it. Just works best for us. I know everybody says you should do it. Now, if I go, I'll do it right on the spot, and then my lady will type it. I'm not going to go on the spot, type it, hand it to him, and sign it. I don't. My business doesn't need that. I don't need to type it on the spot, get them to sign it. We're booked out. We come back. Nothing wrong with that. I see the hierarchs and the new regime and the painting industry. A lot of them are preaching that, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's great if you can do that. My company, remember that though. That's for when you're doing the volume I'm doing. It would be almost impossible to do.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I mean, Branden? When you're doing 15, 18 million a year, you're not getting assigned at the job site. You're not getting assigned, but now we turn them over fast. I mean, within 45 minutes, they'll have an estimate.
Mm-hmm.
They'll have it in their hand. But we get it there. And I tell you something, the reason I know what we do works is non-contractor work. Now follow me this. I put this on one of the forums that are like non-contract work. What I mean is work for homeowners, repaints. Going to repaint houses, working for people, not general contractors. 70% pay 100% up front.
Oh wow.
Follow what I just said now.
Mm-hmm.
70% of them pay 100% up front before I ever touch it.
Right.
Not a 50% deposit. They pay 100% up front.
Yeah.
Reason, well, that's wonderful. Another reason why it is it cuts down on punch lists. Most of the time, somebody's already paid for something. Guess what? They don't call you back to do a lot of touch up.
Mm-hmm.
Our touch ups went down so much when just ask them, pay 50% down, or if you want to just go ahead and pay now and get on our schedule, just and 100%. But we built that brand. When you're involved in the community, like I said, I'm bringing Tim Tebow here with FCA here in a week. Well, it's next coming Monday night. This Monday night, we're sponsoring it. People believe we do. One place, it's a works for the youth who are abused here. We just had a big event, raised $249,000. Our company was a title sponsor of that. We're involved in so many things that the people, they know who Southern Touch Painting is. And like I said, 70% of all our non-contracts, they pay up front. 100% before we ever touch a job. I had a guy yesterday, we're going to do an exterior paint job on a massive house in Ross, and then we're going to paint his guest house out back. Contracts for $41,000. I got an email this morning. He said he put the check in the mail yesterday. We're not painting the house until January 14th. He put the check in the mail for the whole house.
Mm-hmm.
Whole thing. But that's when I talk about building a brand. And that's what we have strived for over the years. They trust us that much. We actually do a lot of work. Brandon, we don't price it. They trust us to go and do it and send them a bill. For real estate companies and different organizations here in town, we go and do the work, and they trust us to do it, send them a bill, and that works out very well for both parties. But they know I'm not going to take advantage of them.
Right.
So there's a lot of moving parts to what we do. We're involved with a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Well, what I hear you saying is you have a very high standard, which I love. And clearly, that standard is held with you and your leadership. And, I really respect you for, the fact that you give so much and you care about your employees, you care about your community. And I think, when if we were to break this down, um, what I've talked to other people with on the podcast is there's basically four areas that you have to have in place to be able to run your business and not be the one who's out in the field, doing all the work, but you're working on your business and building it. And that's your marketing, your sales, production, and leadership. And so marketing, clearly it's you've built a brand where your community knows and trusts your brand, knows your standard, and that speaks for itself. And it sounds like, now you can probably emphasize on this, it sounds like you probably get most of your work just word of mouth, referrals, and just building the reputation.
Only paid marketing and advertising I do, and I do it all myself. It's Facebook.
Yeah, yeah,
Nothing else. We
yeah.
don't send
So,
out postcards. We do
mhm,
nothing. Facebook, and I do it.
right.
Everything people say all the time, all the stuff I do on Facebook, it's 100% me. I don't have a paid person in this town. But I'll say this: when you do stuff like FCA, when we're bringing Tebow here. I mean, on everything sent out in this town that's been sent to people, our logo's dead in the middle of it. Now, so you don't bring somebody like that here for pennies,
Yeah, yeah.
especially when you're a title sponsor. But everything, it's in the middle of everything is Southern Touch, our logo. People want to we live in a very conservative area here also. A prime example, and I'm not saying whether you're Democrat, Republican, whatever, but every elected official in this town is Republican. County commissioners to city council to school board, elected officials, we probably have over 40 in this town, and they're everyone Republican. So that tells you this is a very conservative area. So a lot of the stuff we do with FCA, that's what we're involved in. A lot of people go to church here. You bring in a Christian speaker, speaking to our kids. We're heavily involved in FCA here, and our community,
Hmm.
and our local, our company is, which so people notice. It's at the bottom of every one of the FCA logos at the bottom of every email we send out to our company.
Nice.
Uh, the Marine Museum, we're a silver sponsor. I get 15 to 20,000 a year for our Marine Museum, which is fixing this right ground. It's at the bottom of every. So whenever you own a company, you're doing all this. If you're not letting people know you're involved in it, then you're wrong.
Hmm.
Everything we do is at the bottom of every email. Let them people know, hey, these guys are giving back. He's got a price from me, and he's got a price from you. Okay.
Hmm.
You're at 31,000, I'm at 33,000, so I'm 2,000 higher. But then they look, and you're retired military, and you see Marine Museum, or you see FCA, or you see One Place or these kids, or you see the Chew program, which is feeding people. And you got a guy over here who, he's just somebody trying to, well, they tend, local people and retired military tend to go with us. Well, they do go with us. You don't
Hmm.
dominate the market this much. I mean, I'm not in a big city. We don't have skyscrapers uh,
Hmm.
to do as much work as we do. Uh, it's because of what we build with the people, the relationships I have
Hmm.
with the people here, and I continue to build them daily. You can't pick our company up. That's another thing. I see a lot of these painters for a month they're on fire, and where'd the fire go? And they pick it up 3 months later. Your company is not where you left it 3 months ago. You got to be on fire every morning when you get up and come to work. I
Yeah.
can't wait to put I'm 56 years old. I cannot wait to put my feet on the floor in the morning and go. I can't wait to get here. My staff, I enjoy it. I enjoy my project managers. I enjoy my paint rep. Surround yourself with people. If they're not good, they're going to affect your culture, what you're doing. Do not keep them. I just look
Hmm.
at people. I keep them because if you got something that's affecting your culture, there's no need to keep them around. Don't be afraid
Hmm.
to let a person go. I
Right.
let a guy go. I let a guy go 6 months ago, who was an integral part of my company, but he was infected it. So it didn't matter how good he was at his job. If he was costing me, he was in total shock. I mean, other people were too, but I wasn't because I knew the pulse of my company, and that's another reason why I was involved with my guys coming and seeing me. You don't see your guys for 3 or 4 weeks. How do you even have a relationship with them? I mean, I go to Branden, Lewis's conference every year, and I hear painters. Well, I just text them and I said, they don't even lay eyes on them. I just don't know how you have that, but I'm different. I mean, and I don't use subs, so that may be a different reason why it's like that.
Hmm. Yeah, I love that. Can you elaborate on where you get that consistency and that discipline from? Because I think a lot of guys may struggle with finding that, that discipline and the ability to have that. Do you think that it's just innate in you and it's just who you are as a person, or is it something that you've developed over time? Can you speak to that at all?
I spoke at Brandon's conference this year, and one thing I shared is think about what I'm fixing to tell you. The start with it at the end of the year or beginning of the year. I sit down with every employee in my company. Okay, I said every, and one thing I shared, I had them raise their hands. I said, guys, how many? So these conferences in the middle of January. I said, how many of y'all have sat down with your employees and told them what your goals are for this year? What are your expectations of them? What growth do you want to see in them? And of course, hardly anybody said. I said, well, how many have told what's your average crew? Most guys said three, maybe four guys. Who's told the fourth guy? Like, well, we tell the first guy. Everything totally backwards from what industry leaders tell you. I meet with the fourth guy first. I tell him what my expectations are. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3 in the crew, Brandon. I meet with the fourth guy. I tell him this is what I expect. If you're the fourth guy next year, then you probably need to go look for another job.
Mm-hmm.
Because that means you're not moving, following, learning like you need to for Southern Touch. To wear a jersey. I tell them that. I meet with them. I start with the fourth guy, and I work my way to the first guy. Because let me tell you, this is what everybody said. Well, we meet with our crew leader, and then, well, you meet with your crew leader who you never hardly see, and then you're expecting him to go meet with the other three men and tell him what you think your crew leader is going to tell your fourth guy what your expectations are for your fourth guy. Number one, the crew leader doesn't really even know what your expectations are. No, you meet with the fourth guy and tell him, and you meet with the third guy, and you meet with the first, you meet with the top, and then you ask the guy that's running the top, why isn't the fourth guy moving up? Why isn't the third guy getting any better? Why isn't the second guy already made crew leader? Ask those questions and tell him you expect him to get two people on his crew to be leaders, and then you can put another man in the field. That's how you grow your company from within. I don't need to go out and get 20 painters from the body. I grow from within. I tell them, I say, look, Mike, you've had these guys on your crew for 2 years, but nobody's stepped up to a van. I mean, I bought 12 trucks in the last 3 months. Guess how I was able to do that? Growing from within. I had guys who needed to move on to a truck.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes from communicate. Let them know. I call it accountability. I hold men accountable, and I'm not afraid to let them know. Same thing with my office staff. They're held accountable. I just say, well, I don't want to, run them off. You see all the time on the form. Well, if they're not doing what your expectations are, and you go and tell them and they leave, then they weren't what you thought they were to start with.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I do things. I mean, if I tell you I want it done this way, you're not doing it this way, and I'm afraid to go tell you because I'm afraid to, then you're not the employee I thought you were. I
Yeah.
call it constructive criticism. I tell you what, if you've got a job going right, that's not going right, the homeowner calls and lets you know, don't they?
Yeah.
You don't quit. They tell you, hey, Brandon, man, your guys aren't doing this, this, and this. You don't quit. You find a solution how we can get it right. So if you go to a crew leader and you say, hey, you're not doing this, 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 and you're worried about him quitting, then he's not the crew leader that I need for sure. If you follow what I'm saying, but if you look on these forums, people talk about it all the time. Well, I don't want to really say anything because I'm afraid he'll quit. Well, I get people call me all the time. Hey, Roger, I wanted it done like this, this, and this. I don't quit. No, I figure out why we didn't do it like this, this, and this, and then I try to get better at doing it. And so I'm not afraid to. I don't run a company where I'm afraid to let my guys know that, hey, we have to do better. I tell them, every single Monday morning, my guys get a letter, I call it the state of the company. We over in Mass, Texas. Every man's in it. I do it on Sunday afternoons. I do it, send it to them every Monday morning. Our core values. Maybe the things that we need to do better on. Maybe the things that we did great on. But they get, I call it the state of the company. They get it 52 weeks a year, and every employee gets it.
Mm-hmm.
So when they're coming here on Monday, they're not coming here blind. Let's say this past week, I give you an example. Down here, it's big. It's big touch-up kits. You've seen the box with the quarts, cans, and stuff. It's really big down here because we're a military town. There's a lot of turnover. So it's good to have that when the new people come in, maybe on a road, that it's there, they can touch up the walls. We went through a thing the other week where we had some crews that didn't leave their touch-up kits. So I addressed it in my state of the company. Hey guys, I appreciate all you did this week. This week we're busy. We've got this going on, but here's some things we need to do better on. We had 4 or 5 jobs this week. Touch-up kits were left. I pulled up the 2 jobs. Signs in the yard, Brandon. It isn't. I cannot tell you how much work I get from signs in the yards. It is insane. So much work. Every single job in my company gets a sign in the yard. I don't care if we go there to paint a post on a mailbox. We put a sign up. That's your brand. Every job we pressure wash gets a sign in the yard. Every job we do gets a touch-up kit with our company logo on it, with a card inside of it, and the address written on top. Got the job right here. This is actually a Pizza Hut that my guy Alex finished yesterday, and they have to send me a picture. He finished last night, so you know I'm not blowing smoke. There's the Pizza Hut. There's a touch-up kit with the Pizza Hut written on address.
Can you hold that up a little bit higher? Okay. Yep.
See it there?
Yep.
That was last night. It's signed stamped. Yesterday he sent him to 7:33 yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm talking about. Standard procedures. It was late at night. He went to work at 4:30. This is 7:30 last night. But it don't matter. Our core values is a touch-up kit. That's sent to me though. I run everything. That's his update for the day. You can see he has to send this to me.
Hold it up a little bit higher.
That's all. That's the pictures of his job. He's all reported into me, okay?
Yep.
And then there's his touch-up kit.
Yeah. They
have to send that. That's how those touch-up kits didn't get left the week before. Those are, I call them standard operating procedures. This morning, I asked for updates from my crew. This is from one of my crews on base. Kate is going to town on the balcony, having a great morning, boss. I'm taking care of the punch list items. They got me going around doing some other stuff, a little touch up, time and material. He told me he'll sign them. Hope you're having a good day. I call them updates. That's from Building 1 on Camp Lejune.
Mm-hmm.
But they all have to send them to me. Okay, here's the thing. You know how I said I do the texts on Tuesday, right?
Right.
Well, this guy here, his name's Jay. Sent him a text yesterday. Says, hey, Jay, you got anything? Haven't talked to you in a couple of weeks. He responded back this morning. He wants to meet me at 10 o'clock in the morning. He's got 3 buildings at Atlanta Beach. They each have 120 units in it. They're 3 stories tall. He wants me to meet him to give him a price to pressure wash and paint next year. That all came from my text yesterday. Phone. This is why I don't do a computer. I don't need to do a computer. Okay, you see this right here? That's my paint supplier. That's the assistant, and that's the store. I don't go to the paint store. Every order my guys send to me, and I forward it to them, and it's delivered to his office.
Mm-hmm.
These are all paint orders from yesterday.
Yeah.
Yesterday alone.
I love that you have that operation set up where you have the paint brought in, put on site, and then the guys just pull up and grab it. I love that. That's great.
Reports. he just sent me, he just arrived at the job, he's doing a final today. He sent me pictures of everything in sight, and then he just sent me what there is and think what he needs. It's accountability. A lot of times, the reason people don't do this, they don't hold their guys to it. They'll hold a few guys or their project managers. I hold everybody across the board.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we explain something to our guys, we give them what they're going through, their assignment. They go over into our conference room, and we don't go there. We don't speak to the foreman. When they walk, the entire crew goes.
Mm-hmm.
The foreman, the assistant, and if he has two people with him, they go and meet with who is showing them what to do. Not just the foreman. It's called accountability. Yeah. That way they can't say, well, we didn't know, or, well, you do know. You were standing there when we told you.
Yeah.
And these are little things I put. That's why I'm able to do so little. And I don't have to have. I ain't got 10 salesmen. I ain't got 5 estimators. I don't have. And I'll be honest with you. To me, I'm different. The most valuable people in my company are my superintendents. I know other people. They love their salesmen and they love all that. You can have all that you want, but if you ain't got somebody to put the paint on and do it, you ain't got nothing. You can sell the world, Brandon, but if you don't have people to put it on, I don't need anybody to sell it. I sell it. I can get all the work I want.
Right.
But I got to have somebody to put it on.
Yeah.
Now, my superintendents make more than project managers. I only have 3 project managers. My superintendents, I've got some painters. I mean, I got some guys, but now they do some big projects. I got one guy that's finished a $2.5 million project.
Mm-hmm.
He's paid very well. I mean, he left that when he's on $1.5 million project right now, but he's well taken care of. I could probably go this year and never go to that project. Mm-hmm. I've been one time. I set foot on that job one time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to go. I don't need to go. I'll pay him enough. I don't need to go. Now, if I need to, I will if I get called, but I don't get called. He understands I don't need to be called. If I'm called, it ain't good.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like he's to tell me how good he's doing. So I run my operations. Mine are not the norm, but it works for Southern Touch. And and I'm not afraid to make changes. I have made a lot of changes. Made a lot of changes how I do things. I'm not afraid of change at all. It's just my system is in place for the size of my company. Like you do the volume we do. You're doing we do about 1, 2, about 1. We do about 1, 3, 1, 4 a month.
Mm-hmm.
5. When you're doing $1.5 million a month, you got to roll.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
Come up and put them. You got to be organized. You got to have it down. And that's where we're at.
Yeah, that's amazing. We're coming to the end of the time for the podcast, but there's been an amazing value that you've shared today, and I just want to thank you so much for your time and taking the time out of your busy schedule to do this and share the information. I could talk to you for hours. The value that you bring and goodness, there's so much that could be unpacked in everything that you said. And, if you'd be up for it, I'd love to do like maybe a part 2 in a few months and maybe dive deeper into some topics. But yeah, I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. And it's really respectful what you've built. And I appreciate your time.
I'll do a podcast anytime you want. You just give me a little bit in advance, and let me make sure it's a good time. Yeah, there's some other things I could share, like once you get to where you are, and then like cash flow. I got guys all the time. Hey, I want to be real big, real big. Some of them are my good friends. I've met them through the painting industry. I help painters all the time. Well, we grow their business. The problem is when you grow your business, you got to grow your cash flow.
Yeah.
Especially all I hear is I want to go to commercial. Well, that's fine, but when you're going to get paid every 45 or 50 days, you got to have the cash. Or if you go from 5 men to 25 men, you've made a big jump. You bought trucks, you bought equipment. You got to have more office staff. As you do that, what is your cash flow? Because you got to have cash.
Yeah.
That's the thing that a lot of you don't understand. As you grow, you better be able to grow your cash flow.
Yeah. Well, maybe in another, like in a part two, we could jump into that. What does it take to manage a company of that size and, manage that cash flow? Because, even guys who are smaller companies, I ran into that, last year. And, I'm much smaller, but, I had to learn some hard lessons on that. So, yeah, I think companies from many different sizes can glean from information that you have on that, and maybe we could dive into that in a part two. But is there any last thoughts that you want to leave with someone who's listening to this, a valuable takeaway on what it takes to run a business and be doing something of the scale that you're doing?
The biggest thing I could say to someone, especially in the paint industry, is you have to know the vision that you have for your company. And guess at it, think, okay, this week I want to do this, and next week I want to do this. You've got to figure out what you want your company to be. And then you've got to surround yourself with people, number one, who know what you want your company to be and where you want to go. And number two, they know the plan that you have in place to get there. Well, you've got to know. Branden, I get 5 calls a week from painters all over America. Probably more than that. Some days I get 5. And they ask me questions. And they have no idea what they even want to do. They don't know if they want to do 500,000. Well, how do you get a business plan? They're like, can you help me? I mean, I can help. I had a guy the other day called me and said, man, I want to get into more commercial work. And so he said, okay. I said, because I'm having a problem right now. I'm doing houses, and I could barely meet payroll last week. I didn't know him, and I did it in a professional way. I said, sir, how are you going to get into commercial painting when you couldn't even make payroll last week? What you got to do is, first of all, figure out a way to generate some cash.
Mm-hmm.
You got to work your way up. Now, you just don't jump out there. That's the biggest line of years. I want to do commercial work. Well, you got to work your way to doing it. One. Number two, you got to have the cash flow. But as I stated, you got to know right here what you want. And then you got to find the people who have those things. If you have people working for you that are higher up for your company and their vision isn't the same as yours, then it's not going to work. The infrastructure will not flow. The main core people in my company, especially the top 2 or 3 ladies in this office, and then my 2 top contractors, and my 10 top painters. My painters are of value. They know what I want to do. They know at the end that their wives and kids are going to be taken care of. I'll tell you. 2 or 3 Saturdays ago, I'll leave it at this. I had a ton of men working right in town. The ball game on, and everybody was up at the nicest steakhouse in town. It's called this Bar and Grill. Nicest in town. And got off, and I went up there to watch the games with some of my friends. Them boys that were in jerseys are mine. I ordered 72 to-go orders for different crews. So over a period of time, they were all, half the company that came in and picked up the-go orders.
Mm-hmm.
There's a guy sitting there didn't realize they worked for me. He's like, man, I can't believe all these painters are coming in. I looked at him and I said, sir, you know I am, right? He said, well, I know you're Roger. I said, if it wasn't for those men, I couldn't be here today. That's why I can eat at this fine restaurant right here. Because them men coming in with them yellow jerseys on, with that logo on there, they work for me. I said, so anywhere I go, they can come. My boys walk in there and they get their food that's already ordered away, and they don't bat an eye. They're not intimidated. It doesn't bother them a bit, because they understand that this man here that owns it, they understand how I feel about him. I'll be sitting beside a guy, well, I was sitting beside a guy who was an attorney, who has an 18-attorney law firm watching the game, and one of my number 1 men, and he's Hispanic, come in and guess who he sat with? Me. Right beside me in the same, right beside me. That's when you know they understand what you're doing. And that's when you know that you care about them. Better than that, every Friday night, Branden, 5 morning, they take their families. Friday or Saturday night to dinner. I rotate them. It's in their check each week which ones get to go at the nicest restaurant in town. Every single week, 5 crews.
Mm-hmm.
40 crews, so it rotates around. It goes, you get to go about 4 or 5 times a year when you start going to all the people I got. That's the restaurant I dine at.
Hmm.
And my men are going there too.
Right.
That's because I care that much about it. But believe me, that just doesn't send a message to him. It sends a message to his wife, his kids. Hey, this guy here, my husband, working for, he actually cares about us. He actually not ashamed that we're over here, he's not ashamed that we may not be the same nationality, whether it's white, black, Polish, Jewish, you name it. We're all, in my company, they understand. In my eyes, we're all the same. I call
Hmm.
it rainbow buddy. I don't care where you came from. I don't care about your background. I don't care what color you are. You come to work for us, and you want to be part of our core values and our core group. You're accepted, and we take and we build something with it, and it works for me. It
Yeah.
doesn't work for everybody else.
Well,
It's worked real good here. I can shut this computer off and walk and get in that truck and drive home and never work again. But I love to work. I'll leave it at that, buddy.
yeah, I love everything that you've said. So much value. I've got so much respect for you. And again, I just appreciate your time and your willingness to share so much value with my audience and those who will listen to this. And I look forward to staying in touch and chatting again in the future.
Thank you, my friend.
All right, you take
Bye.
care. Have a blessed day.